Rockets. This is a completely different group, and we've seen that this season, which the Rockets held the Warriors to under 100 points 3 times this season. All 5 matchups were basically nip and tuck, so this is going to be a fascinating matchup. As we welcome everybody back. That is Mully, that is Fezzi, I am Bonte, and we saw this towards the tail end of the regular season as we match up against the Houston Rockets here. The Warriors just averaged 103 points per game against Houston this season, and you see the regular season stats. This is the stats, but the 5 games between both teams, boy, the percentages were down the drain, Fezzi.
The storyline writes itself, Bonte. You got the underdog Warriors 7th seed against the Houston Rockets number 2. And the Warriors have been incredible. In this matchup, it's always been like a checkpoint of sorts throughout the season long. Whether it's after a losing streak, they play against the Houston Rockets, they get to check their temperature, and the Warriors have been successful, 3-2 on the season. But towards the end, the Houston Rockets were really running off. I mean, so much success. They won the last 14 of 18 home games. So the Warriors are really going into the den of the lion as they go into the playoffs right now.
Yeah, you saw those season stats, Bonte and Festus. Both teams score 114, both give up 110, so very similar numbers. They both shoot 45% from the field. The Warriors shoot a little bit better from the three-point range. But as you said, during the regular season, low hundreds. So that tells me the Rockets kind of dictated pace of play, style of play, very physical, kind of more slow-paced in the half court. They did a really good job defending Steph, not just that game where he had 3 points. I think overall about 16 or 17 points per game. So they've done a good job on that. But they haven't seen this Jimmy Butler version, a heavy dose of that. So I expect a lot of different performance from the Warriors. I expect the Warriors to put the ball in Jimmy Butler's hands early and often to get that offense going. And then I also look for them to really try and be physical, their own offensively, and set a lot of screens to get Steph open, both in the backcourt and in the front court.
Okay, as we all know, when you get to the playoffs, the lights shine a little different, all right? They're the number 2 seed, the Houston Rockets, but this is different now. You got youth of the Houston Rockets versus the experience of the Warriors. We have 3 guys for the Warriors who up their play. One of the guys has playoff attached to his name than Jimmy Butler, playoff Jimmy. And so the Houston Rockets have not gotten to see that version of the Warriors, and tonight's going to be the first start.
Jimmy Butler says he come aboard to the Golden State Warriors, took on the Rockets twice, and the Warriors are 1-1 in those games, but the Rockets did a good job of keeping them off the free throw line. Just 10 free throw attempts in both games against the Rockets for Jimmy Butler this season, but it is youth versus experience, right? That's what we think. That's what we assume with Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Kevon Looney, Steve Kerr. You see the lack of experience in the playoffs for the Houston Rockets. Dylan Brooks has been there before, first round, second round. Fred VanVleet, he's an NBA champion, Ime Udoka. But here's what Steve Kerr had to say about this matchup and the playoff experience his team has.
The beauty of the playoffs is you actually have a chance to plot and scheme and prepare. And so I think that's what makes the playoffs so fun, is you can really delve into things. And our guys have, especially Steph, Draymond, Jimmy, and Loon. I mean, those 4 guys have just a ton of playoff experience. So I think they really relish this time of year and, the process of getting ready for an opponent. It's fun.
You guys saw Houston 5 times this year, and it seemed like they threw a lot at you strategically. How much more might they have up their sleeve that you're preparing for?
Well, I think the most relevant game was the last one, just because they weren't playing Steven Adams and Şengün together until the last part of the season. But the other one would be right after we got Jimmy, when we came here and played a pretty good game, and that was our first look at playing them with Jimmy. And that changes things, obviously. So I think the last 2 games are the most relevant in terms of our preparation. But we looked at the first 3 as well. And, this is the beauty of the playoffs. You actually have time to do all this stuff.
All right, let's connect courtesy of Comcast Business. Every connection counts with the great KB, Gareth Birkin, the pride of Yale, Zena, Kada, and everybody's focused on the Rockets' lack of experience in this playoff series, KB. But I wonder if it's going to come down to the 2 guys who don't have a lot of playoff experience, Brendan Pajimski and Moses Moody.
Yeah, let's talk about the Warriors' young guys right now. 2 guys who put themselves into the starting lineup, earned every minute. That starting lineup, 16-3, by the way. So I am taking a look at Moses Moody and Brendan Pajimski. Moses Moses was a champion his rookie season, but over the course of his career, now he's a starter. Now he's a better defender. How will he shine under these bright lights? Same with Brandon Podjenski. No playoff games for Pods. Play in last season, but the Warriors were bounced by the Kings. So what do these guys do? I'm looking for good decisions, good defense, and I don't see them withering under a big spotlight.
Absolutely not, KB. If the Warriors want to go into Houston, as Festus said, the den of the lion, and they want to steal a game on the road, they have to help the veterans, the stars, in dictating this game. And there's different ways they can dictate. Pods can dictate from the pace of the game. He is a rebounding guard. He can get the ball and push in transition, get things going offensively. Moses can dictate the disruption on defense. He's someone that can pick up the ball, pick up high. We've seen him against Ja Morant. We've seen him against Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Tonight, his assignment might be Jalen Green. He needs to pick up, use that 7'1" wingspan, and make things difficult. And then the rest of the young guys. You're looking at JK, Guy Santos, Quentin Post. Every single one of those guys can dictate something, whether it's paint points, whether it's aggression inside the paint. They can do things to make things uncomfortable for Houston, because we've seen that ultimately, especially with the Jalen Green and Alperen Sengun, they can be up and down. That Rocket roller coaster is a real thing. And if the young guys want to be able to help in this game, it's going to be dictating the pace, the poise, and the pressure on the Rockets and on their home court.
We haven't seen JK in the past 2 games, playoff-like games. Here we are in the actual postseason. I do think the Warriors turn to JK in this series. I'm not sure for how long, but I think they give him a chance. All those things we talk about with the Rockets, young, athletic, ability to attack, that's JK right there. What do you think about maybe his minutes or how he might be used?
Yeah, I mean, when you look at the numbers, Jonathan Kuminga has performed incredibly well against Houston, of course, averaging over 21 points. He's scored 30 points in his career against Houston. However, you can't just look at how he's done historically. You also have to look at the body of work of what this team looks like right now. And statistically, when you're looking at lineup data, JK does not fit well with this team on the floor. And of course, you cannot prioritize the urgency of playoffs over trying to give some minutes to get Jonathan Kuminga into it.
Yeah.
Now, we'll see. I do not put it past Steve Kerr and his staff. I think they're very intelligent to be able to utilize Jonathan Kuminga whenever they need to, but we'll see when he's inserted. It's mostly going to be when he's needed, of course.
It's a tough time to tinker. I absolutely agree with you there. And so far, that lineup with Jimmy and with Draymond and with JK hasn't worked. But in spots, I feel like this could be a series where JK shines as well. Young guys, the Warriors' young guys, they have the spotlight as well.
No, I'm with you, KB. Pods, Moody, and then JK. We'll touch on him right now as he picked up 2 straight DNPs against the Clippers and the Memphis Grizzlies. Of course, we know what that game against the Clippers meant that you had to play in the playing game after losing that one. But as Zena said, he's averaging 21-7 against the Rockets this season in 4 games, shooting over 50% from the floor against the Houston Rockets, including a career high at one point, 34 points. He had 34 points in back-to-back nights against the Rockets and Suns. Maybe there is a point where Steve Kerr leans on JK. Maybe it's some 2-man action with JK and Steph Curry. But with this athleticism against this team, feels like there's got to be some type of minutes for JK in this series, Fezzi.
This series is tailor-made for Jonathan Kuminga. I want to see Eric Congo all up and down the rim, Bonte. And you can see that on the rebounding, his ability to get up. You're playing against the #1 rebounding team in the NBA. And it's not close, all right? They have the largest differential probably since the 2015-16 OKC team. And so right now, Jonathan Kuminga is a guy that can sky high. He can finish in transition. He can play fast. If the Houston Rockets want to play fast and play in transition, JK can be the guy to match up with that. He can also score one-on-one against his defenders. These are the ways that you can use JK in this series. And I don't know what's going on with that, why he's not playing, but I think that this is a series that he can really make a huge impact.
Yeah, Jonathan Kuminga has had individual success against this Rockets roster. He's very similar to a lot of their players, so I think there is a place for him also. This is a long series, so everyone's going to get a chance at some point. Things change drastically from game to game. Between foul trouble, strategically it's going to change, so he needs to be ready. And I'm just thinking, if they're going to double Steph Curry early and often, that's an opportunity. We've seen how he can attack that rim off those double teams. So let this thing play out. But for Jonathan Kuminga, the advice I would give him is just stay ready, physically and mentally when your number's called, go in there and dominate.
We talked a lot about the young guys as well. Those guys like Pods, Moody, all those guys are going to have their opportunities to make shots tonight, and they got to make a huge impact when the numbers are called.
Pod's first playoff series in his NBA career. Moody has gotten a lot of minutes over the course of his career in the playoffs, so going to be very interesting to see how the young guys lock in here for this series against the Rockets. Let's look at our DraftKings Pick 6 predictions for game number 1.
What is this?
Oh, Bully, what do you think? More or less, Jimmy Butler over 23
I don't
points?
think I know. This is playoff Jimmy, and this is playoff game number 1. Way more than 23.
Points, rebounds, assists, 36. Less than that, does he feel, with Alperen Sengun?
You're going against the Defensive Player of the Year candidate? Of course. This is game 1. You got to set the tone early. So, absolutely, less than 36.
And I went less on made threes for Draymond Green, over 2 threes. If it was just 1.5, I would.
Xin chào tất cả mọi người đã quay trở lại với kênh của mình. Ngày hôm nay mình sẽ tiếp tục hướng dẫn các bạn làm vòng. Vòng hôm nay của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là cốc sứ. Mọi người hôm nay vòng của mình sẽ có tiêu đề là cốc vốn. Bây giờ mình bắt đầu làm nha. Sẽ qua đây. Bây giờ xỏ tiết là màu vàng nhé.